Picture waking up one Monday morning and finding the street outside your window has turned into a fast-moving river. That's exactly what happened to thousands of people in Qinzhou, a city in southern China's Guangxi region, on April 27, 2026. And the footage coming out of there is absolutely insane. In just 12 hours, a staggering 538 millimeters of rain, that's over 21 inches, hammered Qinzhou and the nearby city of Beihai. At one point, rainfall intensity hit 147.7 millimeters in a single hour, which is close to world record levels for rainfall in just 60 minutes. To put that into perspective, London gets about 600 millimeters of rain in an entire year. Qinzhou got nearly that much in half a day. That's not a rainstorm, that's a catastrophe. Streets turned into fast-moving channels almost instantly, and cars were swallowed whole by the rising water. Rescue crews had to deploy inflatable boats just to reach people trapped inside their own homes. Video footage showed emergency workers wading through chest-high floodwaters, and firefighters physically carrying elderly residents in their arms to get them to safety. These aren't action movie scenes. This was real life for thousands of families in Qinzhou that morning. The city's fire service sent out 25 fire trucks and 150 crew members, and they were flooded with emergency calls from around 6 a.m. Schools were shut down, and students were moved to remote learning as authorities scrambled to get a handle on the situation. China's Office of State Flood Control and Drought Relief Headquarters and the Ministry of Emergency Management were called into an emergency session to coordinate the response. By 11 a.m., rescue teams had handled 23 emergency calls related to waterlogging and successfully evacuated 30 trapped residents. A Level 3 flood control emergency response was activated, and a blue flood alert was issued, warning that more areas could see dangerous flooding within the next 5 to 10 hours. But here's the thing. By the afternoon, the rain had actually started to ease. The sun came out. Floodwaters began receding, and it felt, at least briefly, like the worst had passed. Now here's where this story gets bigger than just Qinzhou. April marks the start of the rainy season for southern China, as moisture transport strengthens ahead of the main East Asian monsoon season. This kind of extreme rainfall in April is considered unusual even by Chinese standards, with previous April records for the region being broken. And with the full monsoon season still ahead, the real question is, what happens next? Because the system that really matters when China floods isn't just the rescue boats or the emergency response teams. It's the Three Gorges Dam. The Three Gorges Dam sits on the Guangxi River in Hubei province and is the largest dam structure in the world. It was built, in part, to protect millions of people from the periodic catastrophic flooding that has plagued the Yangtze Basin for centuries. But here's the uncomfortable truth that engineers and scientists have been debating for years. Just how effective the dam actually is at flood control remains unclear and heavily debated. In 2020, China experienced its heaviest floods in more than 3 decades, and the dam's reservoir nearly reached its absolute maximum capacity. The dam operates on a careful seasonal cycle. During the dry season, the reservoir is kept at maximum capacity to generate power. But before summer rains begin, the water level is dropped by around 30 meters to create buffer space for incoming floodwater. When that safety threshold is exceeded, gates are opened and water is released downstream, which can actually threaten communities below the dam rather than protecting them. Scientists have pointed out that the Three Gorges Dam can only control inflow from the upper Yangtze Basin. Large tributaries feeding the middle and lower sections of the river are completely unaffected by the dam. So during the most severe flood events, when heavy rainfall occurs across the entire basin simultaneously, the dam simply cannot contain the situation alone. It's a bit like putting a single lid on a pot that has multiple boiling sections. You cover one, the others still overflow. What happened in Qinzhou isn't on the Yangtze, it's further south in Guangxi, but it's a warning shot for what the coming flood season could look like across the entire region. Authorities warned that provinces across southern China, including Guangdong, Fujian, Zhejiang, Jiangxi, and Hunan, could all see rainfall in the 150 to 200 millimeter range in the coming period. That's an enormous stretch of one of the most densely populated regions on the planet getting hit at potentially the same time. China has been dealing with floods for thousands of years. The Yangtze has swallowed cities, ended dynasties, and reshaped the landscape of an entire civilization. But as climate patterns shift and extreme rainfall events become more intense and more frequent, even the world's biggest dam can only do so much. The real test isn't the infrastructure, it's whether governments and communities are ready for what's coming. And based on what we just saw in Qinzhou, that question is more urgent than ever. Drop a comment below. Do you think the Three Gorges Dam can actually handle a major flood season in 2026? Or is China heading for a crisis?